everybody. Happy Friday. It's Maddie. And so excited that it's Friday. It's been a wild week around my house, and which is why I missed the live on Tuesday. And I'll talk a little bit about that. So we're going to talk today. We're going to talk about 3 whys for the chaos and 3 ways to stop it. So typically on one day I would have done the ways and now the whys, but I'm just going to combine it all. So those of you that don't know me, welcome. My name is Maddie Cummins. I'm a social worker and a journey coach and the owner of Cerebrations LLC. I am incredibly passionate about helping people understand how their brains work, how their body works in that as well, and then how to calm the chaos through finding the power to harness the brain, body, and faith connection. Because I believe that those of us that are Christian and have spirituality really should use that as a coping mechanism. It's already there. And so that's why we're doing all of this together. So if you come online, say hi. Those of you that done this for a while, you know that you can't always, I can't always see who's on. I just see that somebody's watching. So, but happy Friday. So the 3 whys for chaos. There's more than 3, and we'll talk about these more in the workshop coming up on Monday. I'm so excited. So it's Monday through Friday, and then we'll have some extra offer days just for kind of using some of those techniques as well. But it's 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That is, I have to count, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So they're going to be about 45 minutes to an hour. There'll be an ability to ask questions and interact with each other, because I really, really, really believe that the power of healing comes in community and not just trying to do it on our own. And so I really want that community to build so that you guys really have those people that really get your stuff, get in there with you. So we're going to talk about the 3 whys for chaos, and the 3 that I'm going to talk about today. Let me change that a little bit. So this week it was really interesting. My son, those of you may have seen the post, but my son has started a brand new school on Tuesday, and I was just in overwhelm all week. And he's a pretty confident kid, and he knows his feelings, and he knows when he's having anxiety. But I was just a mess. And he finally said to me on the way to school the first morning, he said, "Mom, you know I'm going to be okay, so I don't know why you're so worried about this." And I realized in this week, part of where this chaos was coming from was my old past stuff that had nothing to do with him going to school. When I was a kid, I moved every year to 2 years. It was until I was 12. There were really good reasons for that. My father just changed jobs a lot in the newspaper business, and that's just the way that business ran at that time. But it was really hard. It was very hard for me. And so the starting the new school, what I realized is that my son's experience is triggering my memories, my subconscious memories of having to start a new school over and over and over, and how difficult that was. And so this process of my brain, this is how the brain works. It goes, okay, wait a minute. I know I've been here before. What does this look like? I know I have some feelings around this. And then this neural pathway fires that goes directly to my childhood experiences. And then I start this chaos. I start spinning. Oh my gosh, he's not going to have any friends. What if this happens? What if this happens? I mean, you guys know how that rolls. It's just the spinning. And it took me a couple of days to really realize that it was really old stuff that was coming up. And it had nothing to do with the current environment. Now, I'm his mom, so I'm going to be worried about stuff, and I'm going to be worried. I want him to be in a good space, and I want him to have friends. But when I take whatever facts I had at that moment, which we'll talk about in a minute as well, there were no facts. I was just spinning around stuff that belonged to me and not him. So, part of the spinning often is past. It's our brain trying to find something that it's familiar, and it says, oh, wait, I've been in this situation before. If you are, you have some people, if you just have a traumatic childhood, it doesn't have to be traumatic. It just has to be dysfunctional sometimes. But our brain really does look for, what do I know? And so when you're presented with an experience in the present, like my son going back to school, My brain doesn't know what to do with that information, so it goes and looks for things that it knows, which is me having to change schools a lot. So there is this disconnect that happens, this brain neural pathway that fires. And as we talk about, part of this process is finding a way to do a new neural pathway, which we'll talk about in a minute. So that's one of the ways that one of the reasons we have the chaos, which is our past experiences and our past trauma. A second way that we do is just fear of the unknown, fear of these kind of negative connotations we carry around with us and that define us. And sometimes we don't even know it's happening, but it's this fear. It's fear of failure. It's fear of not being loved. It's fear of not being in community. It's fear of being alone. It's just fear. And so part of this chaos then becomes, I'm really fearful and I don't know what to do with this. So I'm just going to sit here and try to resolve this issue and think about all this stuff, which turns into a negative spiral. And so when I think back about my son going back to school, it was my fear, not his fear, my fear that he wasn't going to make friends, that he was going to hate the school, that it was just going to be this awful experience. By the time I was done, he wasn't going to school at all because it was so horrible of an experience. Did that happen? No, because I created all that in my head. This is that spinning, right? We start creating chaos and putting chaos in the environment to meet our expectations in our brain. And that's just really a challenge. So another way that chaos starts spinning is because of fear. And so part of this process is trying to figure out, what am I fearful about? And is it reality? The third reason is really uncertainty. And I think this is a little bit different than fear. So when I go into a situation and I don't know what's going to happen, we talk about control a lot in this group. And that is completely out of my control. Like I have I don't know where I'm headed. I don't know what's going on. There's uncertainty around what's going to happen. And so this chaos will start spinning because of the uncertainty. Our brains really like to have patterns and routines. And when it doesn't, if there's some information going in and there's a gap in that information, and I'll talk about this more in just a second, there's a gap in information, the brain puts something in the gap. So if I'm going to a party and I don't know anybody and I don't know what's going to happen, my brain doesn't have enough information to connect all the dots. So it's going to start putting all this stuff in there that isn't true. It doesn't make sense, but that's what our brain does. Now, we have choices in how that brain works. All of this is habits. All of these things are old. They're old neural pathways that were built over time, and it's our job to start trying to figure out how to build new neural pathways. So I'm going to give you 3 ways to do that today. And if you're on, just say hi so that I can see you and we can talk a little bit more. If you have any questions, throw them up. There's a little lag in it, but I'll be sure to respond. And again, we're going to talk about 3 ways today. We'll be expanding on all of this, starting in our Slay the Chaos, Claim the Calm workshop starting on Monday. So one way is just breathe. I talked about this on a live last week on my personal page, but just breathe. Hey, Rachel. It's good to see you, Rachel. I'm glad that you're here. Happy Friday. Just breathe. As our brain starts shutting down and it starts getting into anxiety, our amygdala lights up and our frontal lobe, which is our executive function and really requires thought and intention, starts shutting down. And this is what we need for problem solving as well. So amygdala lights up, frontal lobe shuts down. And then guess what? We start breathing. We start doing this. We start getting ready for fight or flight or freeze. And so our body actually will do this like tense thing. And so what we need to do is we need to just breathe. And there's lots of ways to do that. There's never a way that works for everybody. Everybody has to find their own way. But really just take 3 deep breaths. Breathe in through your mouth. Breathe out through your nose. And just do it 3 times and make sure, because what you'll see and what you'll find happening is that as you are all tensed up, when you start breathing, your body actually starts relaxing and you go, oh my gosh, like it's crazy how the brain and the body come together. Another way is counting. I count, you can do this different ways. We're going to go through all of this next week. One of the easiest ways is just to count backwards from 10. That's not complicated enough for some people. For me, it's super complicated because I don't like numbers. But some people will count backwards from 100 by threes. I mean, there's lots of different ways that we can do that. And we'll talk more about this in the workshop. But counting backwards from 10 engages the frontal lobe and forces the frontal lobe to begin working so you can start problem solving through the experience, not just sitting here spinning for days. The third one I'm going to say and then clarify, just go to God and let God have it. That is super easy to say. It is super difficult. And I posted this Bible verse yesterday. One of my favorite Bible verses is Exodus 14:14 that says, "The Lord will fight for you. You just only need to be still." And if we're not still, God doesn't even have a chance to talk to us and help us through what we want and what we need. And so going back to the situation I was having this week, finally yesterday, I sat my little rear end down in a chair. I breathed, I counted, and then I prayed. And I just said to God, here, take it. Like I can't, I don't know what's happening, and I can't control the situation. I can't force anything to happen. I need you to take it. And, we'll talk through some visualizations with that too next week, but there's really this incredibly calming process of being able to hand something over to God so you don't feel like you have to take it. As we do these three different ways and many different ways that we'll talk about next week, we really start focusing in on the intentionality, and it starts building up those new neural pathways. This stuff is not easy to talk about. It's harder to put in practice. But that's why they call it a practice, is we have to keep doing it over and over and over to build a new neural pathway from the chaotic one. So, the thing that I always talk about, I'm just going to be authentic in here, and I'm just going to tell you what my life looks like. Do I have the answers? I know how to help you. I still struggle with anxiety, even knowing all of this stuff, because the old brain patterns always come back. I'm leaning into the imperfection. I'm leaning into being real and not being right. I'm leaning into not having this mask on all the time where I walk around going, yeah, I got this. And I think that's really what the journey is about, is being real and authentic and helping each other through the chaos, because it's going to happen, and that's okay. It's just finding the tools that you need to get back to your normal and to the calm. So appreciate all of your comments and your engagement in the group. I am super, super excited about the workshop, to be able to kind of take all the information that I throw out here in very short ways and give it to you guys in a way that will be, I think, really helpful, is super exciting to me. I will be unveiling a new program as well, and there'll be, just some. I just really want to give people a path on the journey to taking all of this information, being intentional about it, and then making your own and finding your calm. So the free workshops will continue. If you can't make it, that's okay. We'll be recording them and then putting them on recording in the recording section of the group, and I'll let you know where that is once it's set up. And if you are coming and you have not registered, I'm going to put the link below. I want to make sure that you get a workbook, because there is a free workbook that goes with this. The part of the intentionality is, and this is something I always do in my coaching and counseling practices, is I really want people to do homework after. There's no pressure on the homework, but I think people change in a collective, not on their own. And so we're going to be doing some extra, hey, here's your homework, post it in the group. And then there'll be some bonus worksheets and things that you can really do to put into your practice that I'm really excited about. So you guys have a great weekend. There will be no additional lives next week. It will only be Monday through Friday, from, again, 5 Eastern Standard Time. I don't have to count it. 5 Pacific Standard Time, 8 Eastern Standard Time. And I'm super excited to share all of this with you and hear your thoughts. So have a great weekend, and I will talk to you on Monday. Thanks.